Hello there, it's me again, going through another example. Again, we're using numbers, but I'm going to change the market structure. This time, I am going to look at monopolistic competition. And again, we want to figure out profit maximization using numbers. Do you remember the monopolistically competitive structure? Firstly, don't mix this up with the monopoly. This is monopolistic competition. So there are many sellers in this particular structure. However, the sellers have differentiated products. So whether it be branding, differences in location, service, they differentiate their products in this market structure. Because of product differentiation, these firms are not price takers. And you're going to see in a minute why this is important. There is also freedom of entry and exit in this market structure. So new firms can come in freely and existing firms can leave when they want to. That's very important for the long run transition. Not only that, advertising is actually very common in this market structure because they differentiate the product. So let's dig right into the numbers. Here we go again. This is the output. How much of the good is being produced? 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Here we have the total cost. You see a blank column here, meaning we're going to have to calculate the marginal cost. We also have the quantity demanded, which is coinciding with the amount that's being produced. We have the price for the good, and we have another blank column right here for the marginal revenue, meaning we're going to have to calculate this. Now, why are we interested in these numbers? What are we trying to do? Well, look, we're trying to find the price the firm is going to choose to charge and how much profit they will make. You are business students. You have an interest in understanding what price should you charge for your good. Even if you're not business students, it's important to figure out what is the appropriate price in these market structures. You can't just charge the highest price possible. People might choose not to buy from you. And you can't go too low in terms of price, trying to be competitive, because you might not be able to cover your cost. So how do we figure out what is the best price to choose? How do we figure out how much of the product to produce? This is where an economist will give you some answers. The appropriate price, the appropriate amount of the good to produce is dependent on the point where profits are maximized. This is why we spend so much time trying to figure this out. We ask it over and over again. Where are profits maximized? Where are profits maximized? I am looking for the profit maximizing point. It's important because where your profits are the biggest is where you should be trying to go. Now, I will tell you, you know this rule. Profits are maximized where? Where? Excellent. Where MC is equal to MR. Where the two M's meet. Profits are maximized where marginal cost and marginal revenue is equal. MC is equal to MR. Profits are maximized where MC is equal to MR. MC equal MR. So remember that as we move through this example. Profits are going to be maximized where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. So let's go back to our table. If we want to figure out what price they will charge and how much output, let's try and find that point where MC is equal to MR. So we got to calculate these. Let's start by calculating the marginal cost. Do you remember what marginal means in economics? Marginal means change, additional. So watch me. When your output level is 0, your total cost is 75. When you increase output from 0 to 1, your total cost went up to 120. Think, marginal cost is the change in your total cost. Because you increase output from 0 to 1, you got one more unit of the good, your cost moved from 75 to 120. So what is the change in your cost? What's the marginal cost as you move from 0 to 1? Yeah, you would subtract them. You move from 75 to 120, so your marginal cost is 45. You get it? Let's do another. 1 unit of the good, your total cost is 120. You increase output to 2, so you just increase output by 1 and look at the change in your total cost. You move from 120 to 135, so your marginal cost would be 15. You get it? You see it? Go ahead, calculate these. I'll give you some time. Did you get these answers? I hope so. You look and you calculate the change in your total costs. Let's move on. Profit maximization is where MC is equal to MR. So we need MR. Now MC kind of sounds similar to MR. Marginal cost was the change in your total costs. So what do you think marginal revenue is? The change in what? Your total what? Your total revenue. Your total revenue. Now be careful. Your price is not total revenue. Do you remember what total revenue is? Total revenue is the amount of money a firm will get from selling the particular good. You get it? Total revenue is the money that a firm will get from selling the particular good. So think, if the price is 180 and you're not selling anything, how much is your total revenue? 0. Now watch this. If your price is 165 and you sell one of the good, how much money did you earn in your pocket as total revenue? Yes, 165. You get it? Total revenue is just your price times your quantity. So total revenue is just your price multiplied by your quantity. How much money you earn from selling the particular good. Price times quantity. That's your total revenue. And notice Since this is a monopolistically competitive structure, you see what's happening? I hope you do. You should see that your price is not fixed. It changes as the quantity is changing. So, what about when you sell 2 units of the good? That's a quantity demanded. What's your total revenue? Two of them, they cost 150 a pop. That's what people paid. Here we go. You get it? Go ahead and calculate the rest of the total revenue. I'll wait. Are these the numbers you got? I hope so. It's just price times quantity. Now we're ready to do what's required. The marginal revenue. Remember, marginal means change. So when you move from 0 to 1, what's the change in your total revenue? Yeah, at 0, the TR is 0. But when you move to 1 more unit of the good, the total revenue increases to 165. So the marginal revenue would be 165. What about when you move from 1 to 2? You changed from 165 to 300. So your marginal revenue is 135. You get it? Go ahead and calculate the rest of this. You know I'll be here waiting. Is this what you got? All right. Now we have the two columns that are important to us. We have marginal cost and marginal revenue. So we have these two columns, and we know profits are maximized. You remember? Where are profits maximized? Profits are maximized where MC is equal to MR. So profits are maximized where MC is equal to MR. So we have to find that point. Now this usually confuses students because they say, what do you mean where MC is equal to MR? I see some numbers that are equal. I mean the MC and the MR on that quantity line is the same. So watch me. At 1, this is 45 and this is 165. They're not equal. At 3, this is 30 and this is 105. They're not equal. Do you notice anywhere where they are equal? Look at 5. The MC is 60. You see it? And look at the MR on that same line. It's also 60. So, yeah, MC is equal to MR at that particular quantity line. You see it? MC is equal to MR right there. 60 and 60. That's a profit maximizing point. So look at it. What price should you charge for your good? What price should you charge for the good? Charge 108 because that's where your profits are maximized. How much of the good should you produce and sell? Produce 5 because that's where your profits are maximized. And if you did this, how much money would you make? How much profits would you make if you used the profit maximizing point? Well, you would have earned $540 and it would have cost you $270 to produce those 5 units. So total revenue minus total costs, your profits would have been $270. Now, one last thing I want you to think about. Remember, in a monopolistically competitive firm, there is freedom of entry and exit. So if one firm makes profits in the short run, over the long run, firms are going to enter to compete it away. They won't stop entering until only normal profits are made. So by the time we get to the long run, in a monopolistically competitive structure, only normal profits would exist. I hope that was helpful. Keep on practicing and you'll get the hang of this. Bye-bye. So take a look at the table, absorb it, take a picture with your phone if you need to, and try this on your own. Practice. That's the only way you get good at this. Keep on practicing. MC is equal to MR.